It gave me the freedom. And it was just by moving this back. And it helps because if my body wasn't working hard enough for my perfect golf swing, I wasn't going to hit it right. So this little cheat enabled me to, get a head start with the lower body so I then could commit. And you know what? It worked. Okay, let's pull the club back and just start the momentum. I'm going to exaggerate something here, but it was like, okay, there. How did I improve my golf swing dramatically in one day? Really, just after 18 holes before I played the next 18 holes. I happened upon something that really transformed my golf swing, that transformed my round and helped me win the tournament. And I think it's going to help many of you. Let's find out what it was. This isn't a secret. This isn't a magic formula or anything like that. But I know, because I've used it on hundreds of students and thousands of our club members, followers here on YouTube or whatever, have used this either consistently or at least, tried it for a little while. But what I did, and I stumbled upon this, when I was salvaging a really kind of crappy round, right? We all have them. Even Rory McIlroy has them, seemingly at the beginning of the first round of every major, right? But, we work hard. Some of you might not, but we care about this game. We care about how we play. And, having to perform in a tournament or something, there can be a lot of pressure, right? Now, this tournament was when I was a wee lad. I wasn't that wee. I was 20 years old. I've been playing golf about 3 years, something like that. And it was the Warwickshire, this is the UK, it's kind of like, I suppose, equivalent of state, under 21s championship. I didn't know the course, but it was 36 holes in one day. And I had been, playing well. I've been working on my swing and it felt good. I was really good in the days inning before it, but I'm definitely not the best sort of player when it comes to pressure, right? Tennis, I was perfectly fine as a kid because it was like I could hit a double fault, it wouldn't matter, I'd go for an ace next, even when I was tiny. But golf, for some reason, the pressure has affected me, right? And oftentimes the first few holes of a round in a tournament are really quite crap for me. It's just the way it goes. Even now, if I'm playing with someone that's excited to play with me, whether it's one of you guys have come in from town for some lessons or whatever, there's pressure on me, right? To perform, to hit good shots, to entertain. But I'm human and my brain often gets in the way a lot of times and it kind of takes me a few holes to get rid of it. But what happened here, I was playing this tournament and the swing, it's going back, like over 20 years now. I'm about to vomit. Anyway, going back about 20 years and I started off okay, but my swing, like for me, my swing has to feel good for me to play well. I don't do very well if my swing isn't feeling good because I enjoy my powerful strikes. I like getting that compression. I like having the good tempo. And that's when I play very good golf. I know it's kind of obvious, but I'm not a very good bad golfer. Or if my swing isn't quite, if I'm just not enjoying it that day, it's hard for me to shoot much better than, level or a couple over at best, which is still fine, but I don't necessarily enjoy it. Anyway, I was struggling the first few holes as normal. And I think I might have been a couple over after 5 or something like this. And I realized I had a couple of swing thoughts that I was doing, and we'll go over them now. The main thought I was having was, sounds weird, but I was actually imagining Bernard Langer a little bit on my backswing, the way he just sort of made kind of a very simple sort of core rotation, okay? And sort of went out to the back and then turned back through. It was very simple. That was my idea, and it kind of stuck with me for a long time. Not necessarily about Bernhard Langer, but I sort of remember him for some reason, but mostly with the pole going through me and sort of just turning around that central point and just letting it rip, really, with a smooth tempo. That was my main thought. It sounds great and simple, but I got in my own way. So what would happen is, if I wouldn't quite turn back enough, allow this to sort of connect, or if I'd resist here and I wouldn't sort of just start the swing with momentum, if I snatched it away, I would be a little bit out of sync, and then my hands would come down. And what would end up happening is my shots, which will look kind of familiar, my okay shots were sort of something like a bit disjointed and something like that. And it's like, okay, fine, just not great. I mean, I sliced that big time, but it just wasn't great. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do here to kind of get my swing feel? And that's where the sort of light bulb went off a little bit. We're always going to have light bulb moments in golf, but sticking with the fundamentals, building that foundation is key. So I needed to find something that helped my backswing and also something that helped my through swing, because that's really the movement. It's back and through, right? It's just start and go through. That's all we're wanting. And when I was able to really nut those drives, that gives me the confidence to carry on and keep playing better. Instead of thinking about just the sort of upper body kind of leading the charge with the arms, I realized, like, okay, I'm not starting it with my feet here, okay? I'm not starting the golf swing with momentum. I'm just sort of snatching it away, and that's when I get really kind of messed up. So it was like I just was doing some practice swings, and I was just, all right. I always liked to practice swing where I would start from the club just a little bit ahead. Ernie Els used to do it, and it was just there, okay? So I did that a few times, like starting here and then gathering up and swinging through. That was one of the main feels, but the feeling was starting actually with the hips and momentum, as if I was going to throw it to you. So it's like, if I was going to throw something that way, I wouldn't go like this and try and hurl it, like to throw it as far over the camera. I would sort of gather a bit of momentum, okay? So it would be something like that to gather the momentum. So I sort of took that feel and was like, okay, even if I need a bit of a forward press, just that little bit of momentum, and then throw it back up, okay? That was how I started my swing, but it's also enabled me to complete a nice sort of, maybe only a 3/4 backswing, but it gave me the confidence to not sort of freeze over the ball and kind of have these snatchy shots that are a little bit sort of familiar. Maybe it wasn't quite like that, but you get the gist, okay? So I really tried to emphasize that feeling of, okay, let's pull the club back and just start the momentum. I'm going to exaggerate something here, but it was like, okay, there. And I really just sort of went for it, feeling quite fluid. The next part is adapting to my swing at the time. And it was about this sort of era, I think. Tom Lehman won the British Open. He was kind of doing well at golf. I remember looking a bit at Lee Trevino, and I just did a practice swing, and it just sort of triggered something, right? And this has helped thousands of our golfers, especially when we get a bit more experienced in life, senior golfers, senior golf swings, or people just with a few aches and pains, or just don't play enough, or your timing is a bit off. This little tweak can make so much difference. Now, we cover this in other videos, but all I did in a practice swing is I pulled this left foot back. I started momentum here, and I threw the club that way, and I swung through there. It felt like I was, yes, sort of using my core, but I was using momentum, and then I flung it through to really extend out that way. But why did it help that I was pulling this back? Why? It's because I was tense, because this wasn't moving quick enough for my hands. So I was just sort of flipping at it a little bit too much. you know, I was a bit flat-footed, and then my timing was out and it just didn't quite feel good. But just by doing this, okay, pulling this back, I was already a little bit open, kind of like a better sort of impact, having those hips kind of pull up this way, right? Just cheating in essence. I kind of felt like I was cheating, and then I swung back, right? And then I flung the club through that way. I had room to swing and commit. And from there, what happened was I could just really sort of commit down and through to the target. And, you know, after the first shot, it was like, okay, that felt kind of not bad. I was hitting these kind of little fades, but I got a better contact. And all of a sudden, it freed me up. It fixed my goal swing, if you will, because I removed the tension. I was committed to the target that way. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but we fling, okay? So I use the core and I swing through. And as it got more comfortable, I was hitting these wonderful fades. You know, maybe 10, 15 yards or something. And what for me was like a tiny little driver I hit. I can't even remember what it was. Maybe a Bridgestone. But it gave me the freedom. And it was just by moving this back. And it helps because if my body wasn't working hard enough for my perfect goal swing, I wasn't going to hit it right. So this little cheat enabled me to, you know, get a head start with the lower body so I then could commit. And you know what? It worked. It worked. I think maybe after the first 8, 9 holes, something like that, I did these feels and I stuck with them. And I did hold a bunker shot as well, but I parred. I think I made 1 or 2 birdies the first, second 9. And then we had lunch and I went out and I think, correct me if I'm wrong anyone, but I think I shot 2 under the next one. And I won the championship. I won the county, state, whatever you want to call it, under 21s championship. And I was delighted. Like, you know, there was lots of well-seasoned golfers in that tournament. Some who home clubs, some who went on to be, you know, very elite European tour players. But I played my game and I didn't lose it. But the thing is, I listened to my body. And I wish, full confession, I wish that I kind of stuck with that kind of mindset a little bit more. It was after I kind of got good that I started seeing various coaches try to sort of make this perfect goal swing, because I already had a very good natural goal swing. But I thought it's got to be better, got to be perfect. Following all these manuals and things, it just messed me up. But that's a different story. My point being, having more freedom to start the swing, committing to the backswing, and then giving myself a chance to get through. It didn't matter how it looked. It didn't matter because I was really, you know, hitting the shots where I wanted. And the most important thing is I was committed. I was committed through the ball. I wasn't worried about swing positions. I was committed through. And that is the swing that changed my life. And it changed everything in just one day. And according to many other golfers who've tried even just a couple of these like pointers for a little bit, they've seen the results too. So I'm not saying you have to stand open, but I think you should try it and just see how you get on. All right, there are adjustments. You have to allow a little bit more shallowing, okay, because you can't just keep coming over the top. But for many of you, it's going to help get through the golf ball, which by now you should know is important. All right, thanks for hearing me waffle. Thanks for listening, and I hope you got something valuable from it. All right, something a bit different. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. But by the way, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and there is a free series for you to get, and a special offer on our club membership as well, where you can get simple series for every facet of your game. Cheers.